I'm Robert Lusby, and I'm the head of the clinical school here at Concord Hospital for the University of Sydney. You are now in our new building, which was opened by the Governor, Mari Bashar, a year ago, and it is a purpose-built building for teaching medical and nursing and allied health staff about medicine and the practice of medicine. In particular, we have state-of-the-art clinical skills laboratories for teaching people the skills that they need before they actually do it on a patient. So we're sitting inside one of our skills laboratories at the moment. So this is our simulation room, and I'd like to introduce you to Sim Man, our $200,000 doll. And this is one of the great ways of teaching students to go through a scenario, cardiac arrest, or an operation or whatever, and learn before they actually do it elsewhere.
I first met Bob in the early 80s when there were problems with getting public patients, non-veterans, treated at Concord Hospital. And I was able, as being head of surgery at Lidcombe Hospital, to give him opportunities of operating at Lidcombe to solve the problem of patient waiting lists.
I met Bob Lusby 5.5 years ago when I came as a new researcher into Sydney. I was new at Concord campus, and Bob turned out to be my supervisor. And he introduced me into the Concord campus very elegantly, friendly, and it was a very positive contact.
Bob was one of the very few Australians to present to the Royal Society his research into carotid artery disease. Bob was made a Hunterian professor in England, which is the most prestigious task given to an academic.
Bob has always been a leader in the hospital. People talk about him, always talk about him well because of the things that he does for the hospital and what a great sort of guy he is.
Bob's research then into carotid disease was instrumental in improving the quality of the management of stroke patients around the world.
I think Bob is a very good doctor, but he's also a community man.
Well, Bob's a Renaissance man. He is, for example, a keen cook. He makes wine. He does research. He teaches. He loves Tuscany.
I think within the framework of Sydney University, he has done exciting things for the Concord campus.
He's also been a wonderful practitioner, medical practitioner over the years. He's got a wonderful group of patients that adore him, he's worked so hard with. And not only that, he's also worked very, very hard for the students, particularly his students at Sydney University.
One of the things that Bob has done is he goes across with the disasters as some of the medical teams. So he went across, I believe, to Bougainville and helped as medical support. So again, a fantastic ambassador for Australia to have that sort of a person of his calibre, of his interests, of his intellect and wit going across and representing Australia.
I don't think a more deserving person than Bob could receive this award. You know, he's worked his whole life for his family. He's built a wonderful vineyard down in the Hunter Valley for them, because he's also done a lot for our community, and particularly the community at Concord Hospital. His generosity, particularly when we're doing fundraising events, is just unsurpassed.
Very recently we had a lot of cooking together at the Concord Clinical Week, and that was an exciting experience. And the easiness that Bob had in identifying certain ingredients for the cooking was really very interesting.
If you want to get Bob excited, talk about the Sangiovese grape.
Bob is a many-talented, many-faceted man. He's a great guy to talk with. He's very open, communicative, very supportive. The sort of person that can talk to anybody.
I have to say that I met Bob many years ago when I was actually on the executive of the Chamber of Commerce in Concord, and we decided to organise a bus trip down to the Hunter Valley. I asked Bob, I said, Bob, do you think I could, bring the group down? We've got a bus load coming down from Concord. And he said, Marie, by all means, come through. We're happy to see you. So we arrived down at the Tintilla Vineyard down in the Hunter, and it was just a magnificent day, absolutely perfect. Bob was there, and so was Mary and the family, and they had put on a marvellous spread of cheeses and salamis and all sorts of things for us to eat, and of course to have a wine tasting. Well, everyone that was on the bus was so overcome with Bob's generosity and the beautiful wines that we were tasting. I mean, that bus got filled up with boxes of wine. And I remember as we were about to leave, Bob said, Marie, you can bring the Chamber of Commerce down any weekend, because the whole underside of the bus was just chockers of Tintilla bottles of wine and boxes.
Once I visited Bob at his place in Polko Cabin in the Hunter Valley, and we had a lunch there. And what is Bob doing? Then during lunch he is interviewing the people and having a little photograph. So he's going around the tables, and before you even realize it, he's making a nice and elegant interview with you.
When I see him around there with the students, he talks to them, they communicate with him. He seems to be very respected by the students, as he is by the rest of the hospital community. They might know his love of the opera, for example, so he's been a founding member of the group that's put together the opera at Rivendell. He's part of it. And I guess what many people don't know is that Bob's the one who's there on the Sunday helping to clean up. That's part of what he does. He's not above getting down, doing the dirty work. I understand that one day he's going to have a house up there, not far from the vineyard, or on the grounds of the vineyard. So the best wishes for the retirement up there. Couldn't think of a better place to be, with family and wine and olives around there to enjoy.
So one of the great strengths of Concord has always been the teaching side of it. We've actually built up a really good core of researchers. Now, why is that important? Well, if you've got good researchers, you'll attract good staff, because they want to do research as well as look after patients. And if you're at the cutting edge of research, that translates into good care for the patients. So I personally think it's very important. If you're going to teach doctors to be humane, then they have to be treated humanely when they're students, because it rubs off. Our students are very diverse, and they have all sorts of talents. We've got one student whose wife is a leading performer in the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, and we've had to organise his program around them looking after their children. And those sort of things I think are important.
Bob, the moment has come. You have been recognised. Your move to Breakfast Point has paid off. I'm delighted for you that you have received this nomination, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I have talking about you. Congratulations, Bob.
Congratulations, Bob. Well done. It's been fantastic to know you. You're one of those people that one would say was really born for greater things, and you've fulfilled that dream in so many different ways, so many different facets you've had. So congratulations again.
Well, we congratulate you and hope that we see many, many more years of you helping out the Concord family.
From this local community, who are very receptive to teaching, and we're very lucky in that regard. Growing out of the Veterans Affairs initially, we had great patients as a result of that, but that tradition of cooperating and coming in, we often need patients to come in and demonstrate various aspects of their illness, and it's wonderful to see them volunteering and coming in and spending a day or a morning. So, and our relationship with the community, I think, is very strong. Now I try and lead by example. I've got a small vineyard up in the Hunter Valley, which is my escape, and surgeons all need escapes. You can't operate forever, so I decided 20 years or so ago that this was going to be my way out, so that'll happen. But I've also been very keen to tell people about it and show people that it's important to plan in your life other things, and it doesn't matter if it's golf or sailing or whatever you do. A lot of people just like travel. But very important, because it refreshes you, makes you a better doctor if you come back refreshed.